Hey everyone, Joe here with the Idaho Prepper channel, and today we're going to be taking a look at my mid-budget bug-out bag build. Say that 10 times fast. All right, so the concept behind this pack out is I wanted to put together a practical bug out bag system that would be as universal as possible so that anyone could take from the suggestions and gear that I lay out in this video and build a functional and effective bug out bag, all the while staying within a modest budget. Now, could I build a cheaper bug out bag? Absolutely. And could I build a more expensive bug out bag? Yes, I could, and I have. But for your first serious bug out bag, I think that you should be somewhere in between because there is equipment that is so critical to your survival, you're not going to want to cheap out on it. And then there is equipment that is just as effective as the high-end stuff, but at a fraction of the cost. So it just isn't that necessary to spend the extra money on something maybe just because it looks cool or, it has a certain brand name. Also, what you are going to discover after you've owned your bug out bag for a while and you've had the opportunity to take your bag out and put the gear that you have in it to the test is that you will more than likely evaluate what things are necessary to your particular situation and environment and realize you just don't need them, or you will need to upgrade certain things or add certain things and so on. All of the gear in this bug out can be sourced from two places, Amazon and the Dollar Tree. However, some of the more basic supplies in the bag, such as pens and hygiene products, were sourced from my home and were not included in the budget outline just because they are items that I'm assuming most people already have in their homes. So my advice to those of you who are going to build your first bug out bag, before you go online and start shopping for gear, shop your house first for the supplies that you will need, and whatever you don't have already laying around, go out and buy that stuff. And don't be afraid to make some of the stuff yourself if you can, such as first aid kits and fire starters. Now, this specific bag is made by a company that is no longer in business, but the design of this bag is very common, and there are still plenty of companies still manufacturing this bag just under a different brand. So a pack like this is going to run you around $35 on Amazon, and it's an extremely durable pack, and it's going to provide you with plenty of space for your gear. And as always, I will make sure to leave links in the description for all of the gear that you see in today's video. So with that said, let's get into it. So as always, I will just start with the gear that I have on the outside of my pack. On the side here, I have a Mora bushcraft knife. So this knife on Amazon is going to run you about $18, but if you shop around, you could probably find this knife at a store, like a local sporting goods store, for probably $10. It has a nice hard sheath with a belt clip on the back. The handle is rubber, which makes it really easy to grip. And you have a nice, extremely sharp stainless steel blade. All right, so moving to this side, we have a Baofeng GMRS radio. So a 2-pack of these radios runs you about $50. And I recommend this radio as opposed to like the Baofeng the Baofeng UV5R, because these radios right out of the bag are ready to go. There's no programming required or anything like that. So for those of you novice preppers, you're just getting into, preparedness, and you want to start getting into an alternative way of communicating. This is, I think, in my opinion, this is the way to go because it's really basic and it has all the features that you would need in a survival radio. So you have a long distance communication with these GMRS frequencies, It has a signaling light on the top, and it has the NOAA radio frequency so you can listen to weather, and it has an AM FM radio. The charging cables for these radios are really small and compact, so it makes them easy to just stow away in your bug out bag. Okay, so the blanket or sleep system that I've incorporated with this bug out bag is just a basic wool blanket. So this is not 100% wool. It is like a wool blend, but you can pick this blanket up on Amazon for about $28. So most of us know the benefits of wool, but wool, even if it gets wet, it will still keep you warm. It doesn't lose its insulation value. A big blanket like this, you know, there are ways of kind of wrapping yourself in this to where it's almost like a sleeping bag, but you can actually also just drape them around you and they will keep you warm, and they almost act as like a jacket. So it's very versatile, and you know, wool just has a lot of benefits. Also, these blankets can be configured in such a way with a little bit of paracord to where you can actually place your gear in the center of it and kind of fold everything up, wrap your paracord around it, and kind of utilize it as a backpack for your gear. All right, so moving to this first pouch here. And this is one of those items that I actually did not put a price tag on because these are homemade. So these are just some homemade fire starters that I made myself. I have done a video on how to make these. They're extremely easy, and you can probably make, you know, 100 of these things for under $5. So I really just, you know, I got about 4 or 5 in here. So, you know, if you make them yourself, about 4 or 5 fire starters is only going to run you about 10 cents. So I just didn't even bother putting a price on these if you do it yourself. But I always suggest, if you know, if you're going to incorporate some fire starters into your bug out bag, which I definitely think you should, just make them yourself. They're really easy to do. You can just get some cotton balls and Vaseline and just place them in a bag and you're good to go. All right, so this is kind of a knockoff S-bit stove. So I actually picked this stove up at a local sporting goods store. You can find the knockoff ones online, and they are really just as well made as the S-bit ones. I think it's just kind of galvanized metal or stainless steel. I'm not sure what they're made out of, but they are really well constructed. And then you can have these fuel tabs in here, and one fuel tab will burn long enough to boil a full pot of water, or, you know, like a cup of water. So this stove plus the fuel tabs inside of here cost about $5. All right, so the next thing we have is a Bic lighter with some duct tape. So I just budgeted this for about $1. Most people have a lighter and duct tape around their house. So, you know, and it's just maybe like 3 feet of duct tape that's wrapped around here. You definitely don't want to leave the house without a lighter. This is probably the most essential piece of equipment that you can have in your bug out bag. All right, so moving into the admin pouch, we have a map. So you should always have a map of your local area. If for some reason your phone dies, or you don't have the mapping systems that we've all gotten kind of used to from our phones, it's a really good idea to have an actual physical map of your area. So a lot of times, you know, you can actually pick these maps up if you have like a visitor center in your area. They just give them away for free. But if you want a nice laminated one like this one, you can go online and pick one of these up for about $9. All right, so the first piece of equipment that we have in our admin pouch is a flashlight. So this flashlight is made by Woobin. I believe it is their T50. You can pick this flashlight up on Amazon for around $28. They go on sale all the time. So this is a really high quality flashlight for the money. It has all the same features as, you know, the high grade flashlights like Olight have. It has 3 or 4 different beam settings on here. It's just really high powerful light. I think it's about 1200 lumens, and it also has the rechargeability feature as well. Plus it has this clip that you can clip on your belt, and it has a crenulated bezel there for self-defense. So the next thing in our admin pouch is this Write in the Rain pad. So you don't have to have a Write in the Rain pad. You can just get a regular notepad. As long as you have something to take notes on, that shall suffice. But this isn't the most expensive Write in the Rain pad you can get. It is actually a mid-budget Write in the Rain pad. So I did get a 3-pack of these for around $10. Okay, so the next thing we have in our pack is this mace. So this mace I actually picked up at Harbor Freight for, I think, $5, but you can actually get a 2-pack of these on Amazon for around $16. So one of these is going to run you about $8. So not a bad deal, but I just figured if you're just getting into a bug out bag and you're not sure where to start as far as like a means of defense, I would say that just getting some mace is a perfect way to kind of get into some form of self-defense. All right, next up in our bag, we have our Gerber MultiTool. So I definitely think that this is a critical piece of gear to have in your bug out bag because it has pretty much every tool that you might need for any type of situation you could find yourself in. So again, this isn't the most expensive multi-tool out there, but it's definitely not the cheapest either. So this multi-tool will run you about $28 on Amazon. But like I said, you don't really, if you're just getting into preparedness and this is your first bug out bag and you want to get a multi-tool, really don't go much cheaper than this. The cheaper ones are just complete garbage and they're going to fail on you. And you really don't necessarily have to go and spend $200 or even more than $100 on a Leatherman, because pretty much this is going to serve all of the same purposes and needs as a really high-end Leatherman multi-tool. All right, so the next thing we have here is just kind of a DIY first aid kit slash boo-boo kit. Basically just consists of like Band-Aids. I have some steri strips, some Tylenol packets, Neosporin, stuff like that. Pretty much just robbed a first aid kit that I have in my house. But again, this is a first aid kit. I didn't put a price on this because this is just something I assume that most people are going to have laying around their house. All right, the next thing we have in here are just a basic Sharpie and a pen. Again, I did not put a budget on these because these are just items that I assume everyone has in their house. So if you don't have basic pens in your house, then you probably should not be spending money on a bug out bag, but you should be spending money on therapy.
You sound insane. Do you realize that? You should be medicated.
All right, and no bug out bag is complete without a compass. So believe it or not, I've owned this compass since I was about 7 years old. I've had it my whole life and it's served me well. A compass like this will probably run you about $10 on Amazon, but it is definitely an essential piece of gear to have in your bug out bag. All right, and the last thing we have is just a basic cotton rag. So you could spend the extra money and buy a shemagh, but really all you need is just a cotton rag. Pretty much serves all the same purposes. And again, this isn't something that I put money in for. You know, if you have an old t-shirt laying around, you can just rip it up and get yourself a rag. But believe it or not, you know, when I'm out and about at my bug out location or I'm putting together a camp, I'm actually using my rag more than anything, just as far as like cleaning off my hands and drying off equipment. Working our way to the center of the bag here, first thing we have is this hygiene kit. So I budgeted this for about $5, mainly because most of the gear that's in here is just stuff that I assume you're going to have laying around your house, such as a toothbrush and toothpaste. But there are some other items in here, such as like aspirin. I have some wet wipes and things like that in here. It just really depends on what you think is necessary as far as keeping up with your hygiene. But I definitely think it is essential to have a hygiene kit in your bug out bag. Okay, next up we have a basic pair of gloves. So these are pretty thin gloves. They're not going to keep your hands very warm if it's cold out, but because they have the silicone palms here, they make it very easy to complete certain tasks. So they are really good work gloves, and they will run you probably around $6. So they are very affordable. All right, next up we have this Gerber folding saw. So this is actually a really nice saw for the money, and I wasn't able to find a saw much cheaper than this. So I picked this up at a store close to me for around $10. You can pick them up on Amazon for I think about $16, but for the money, you're not going to find a better saw. The reason why it's critical to have a saw in your bug out bag is if you need to make a shelter, you're going to have a really hard time building a shelter without a saw to cut the wood for your shelter. All right, the next piece of equipment we have in this bug out bag is a water filter. So this is a water straw, filter straw. We've all seen these before. There's a couple different companies that make filters like this. I think Sawyer makes one. Life Straw is another really popular one. But this one is just called a survival filter. It's not the cheapest one on the market, but it's not the most expensive one either. But it is extremely effective as far as filtering your water. And it is a critical piece of gear to have in your bug out bag. So this filter will probably run you about $28 on Amazon. Next up, we have about 25 feet of paracord, and I picked this paracord up at the Dollar Tree, and it's just great paracord. I mean, I don't know if everybody's Dollar Tree or Dollar General has paracord, but I would say, keep an eye out for it because a lot of times they will carry it, and it's usually in their hardware section. So, not bad for $1. Plus you get the winding wheel that you can put the paracord, after you're done cutting it off in this little mouth part here. All right, the last thing we have in this front pouch here is just a change of clothes. So this is just a t-shirt, change of underwear, and a change of socks. I didn't figure this into the budget because it's just extra clothes, and I assume you have some extra clothes to put in your bug out bag. I did vacuum seal them in a vacuum saver bag. That way it just keeps them really compact and waterproof. Moving on to the meat and potatoes of the pack here. All right, the first thing we're looking at here is a trauma kit. So I wanted to put a trauma kit in here just to kind of cover, any type of injury that it was outside the realm of like a basic boo-boo kit. So this is a disposable trauma kit by Minuteman Medic. I'll make sure to leave a link in the description to where you can pick these up, but they pretty much have all of the essential pieces of equipment that you would need in stopping bleeding, such as a combat tourniquet. There is a roll of compression tape and then a large ABD bandage in here as well. And I think there are some nitrile gloves in here and some disinfectant wipes, and then everything actually goes inside of this bag, and the bag acts as like a biohazard waste bag. All right, next up we have another critical piece of equipment, and that is a means of carrying water. So this is a 40-ounce Nalgene bottle. You could probably spend less money and get a cheaper water bottle, but the reason I like Nalgene is because they're really well made and they're totally BPA free. And, you can put boiling water in here and put it in your sleeping bag if it's cold outside, and it will keep you warm. So definitely have yourself a water bottle in your bug out bag. All right, and for the food that I put in this bug out bag, this is a humanitarian daily ration. So I was a little conflicted on whether I should put this in the bug out bag or one of these ReadyWise freeze-dried meals. Now, you can just put your own food in here, but these are just two examples of a kind of a good source of food for the money. So you can pick up one of these freeze-dried meals at Walmart for just under $6, or you can basically buy a case of these daily rations for about $40. There's 10 in a case, so you get this whole ration for $4, and it is just packed full of food. There isn't a heater in here, but it has like the utensils and everything that you would need, and all the food in here is ready to eat. You don't even have to mix water or do anything. So in my opinion, it kind of makes the better bug out food, just because you can eat it immediately. You don't have to boil water or anything. And it's extremely affordable. All right, next up we have a mess kit. So I picked this mess kit up on Amazon about a year ago for $20, and I'm still shocked that I was able to get this much stuff for $20. But if you purchase one of these, it comes with a pan, a pot, a lid, and then it actually comes with a little rocket stove, like fuel stove, which I don't have in here. And I think it comes with like 2 cups. So it's just an amazing bargain. But what I put in my mess kit is just some basic things. So here's some cooking oil. I have a couple spices. I just did a video where I actually utilized a lot of the stuff in here. But this is just kind of some basic spice, and I have some salt. And then I have a peanut butter packet and some hot chocolate packets inside of here. So definitely a really good mess kit for the money. All right, next up we have a USGI Poncho. So this actually serves not only as a poncho, but also a shelter system. So this is definitely one of those critical pieces of equipment that you should not only keep in your bug out bag, but you should not skimp out on as far as the price. So a poncho like this is going to run you about $25. Not bad, you know, considering there are actually ponchos you can spend upwards of $100, but it's really not necessary. These genuine USGI ponchos will keep you dry, and they build really awesome shelters. All right, last thing we have in our main compartment here is this emergency survival bivvy. So I actually just featured this in a video not too long ago and tested it out, but I usually keep these in my survival caches, and they're just kind of a good alternative way of maintaining your body heat if it's cold outside. So they're not the most comfortable blankets, but they will keep you warm for the most part if it's really cold outside. And if you accompany these with, say, like a wool blanket or something, you know, it's not a bad sleeping system, and it will definitely keep you alive in a pinch. So this emergency bivvy will run you about $10 on Amazon. All right, and the last thing we have in this compartment is just some basic granola bars. So this is an item that I did not figure into the budget of this bug out bag, because I assume that most people have some type of snack that they can just put into their bug out bag when they're building it. And in this compartment here, I keep probably one of the most commonly overlooked items that people put in their bug out bags or get home bags, and that is cash. So wherever you go, you're definitely going to want to keep some cash on hand, and it's probably best that you keep that cash in medium-sized bills, starting from 20s to 10s to 5s and to 1s. So in this bug out bag here, I have about $62 in cash, and I figured that into the overall budget of this bug out bag. All right, you guys, well, that'll about do it for me today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions or suggestions for me, go ahead and leave it in that comment section. Also, if you're interested in any of the gear that you saw in today's video, I'll make sure to leave a link in the description to where you can check it all out. Plus, I will also leave a link in the description to my Amazon influencer page, which has all of the gear that I use in all of my videos. So if you haven't done so already, please make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, go ahead and hit that notification bell at the top of your screen. So with that said, until the next time, stay prepared.